While Saman and Faria have just about begun questioning and challenging a pre-decided destiny for themselves, 40-year-old Atiya has been doing that for more than 20 years, charting her own path, making her own choices. She began modelling in Pakistan in the 80s, a time when modelling was completely taboo in Pakistan's conservative society. At the height of her modelling career, she gave it all up when she found she'd outgrown it. She then turned to directing, shooting and producing TV documentaries when women behind the camera were a rarity. Of course, belonging to the upper class in Pakistan allowed her some of the freedom to do exactly what she wanted to, till marriage into a conservative family where she was not allowed to work curbed both her independence and her spirit.
Women get into relationships on a kind of a weaker wicket, feeling kind of like they're the ones who have to make all the changes and they're the ones who, have to fit in and adjust and all that. I feel now that it's important to kind of value yourself and be true to yourself and only sort of get into a relationship where you can be yourself and you are valued for who you are, as opposed to trying to change yourself.
A trip to Sufi Saint Shahbaz Lal Qalandar's shrine, meeting her spiritual guide Sheikh Nazim in Cyprus, and an increasingly strained marriage sparked off her religious and spiritual journey. She decided to walk out of her marriage, living on her own today, sharing the custody of her children with her ex-husband. Her calm, collected persona gives no indication of a tumultuous journey through life so far, full of upheavals, internal conflicts. From mini skirts in the ramp to her recent decision to start taking the hijab and offering namaz 5 times a day, it's a total transformation. She says that in her understanding and exploration of Islam, the hijab does not mean conservatism, just as miniskirts do not denote liberalism.
I started having sort of visions and dreams, and I kind of became very obsessed with the saint, and I felt that I had this connection with the saint. It was just a very, very confusing time for me. My family got very concerned. That was the time which perpetuated my divorce. My ex-husband would not relate at all to the experiences that I was going through. I'm someone who doesn't believe in following norm or convention, So it's strange because the time when I was modeling and I was being very modern and stuff like that was very unconventional at that time, for the time. And similarly, even now, getting religious is being seen as being unconventional or rebellious or kind of different. The path that I'm on is more a spiritual path than a religious path. It is a path that tries to combine the Sharia, which is the religious law, with the spiritual aspects. So I'm trying to do both. And I feel that the religious discipline helps you in your life. I don't believe that I'm going to go to heaven if I cover my head, or I won't go to heaven if I don't cover my head. You know what I mean? Or if I say my prayers or don't say my prayers. I think God is beyond that. God is looking at your heart. These disciplines help you in life. When you have the discipline to say your prayers or meditate or whatever form of prayer you want to, it helps you realize a certain state of being. Your active, conscious mind kind of takes a break, and you connect to a different higher reality. You're more relaxed, you're more at peace, you're more content. Similarly, with covering my head, for me, it's helped me in my life. I was tired of arguing with friends and kind of, going over the same thing over and over again. No, I don't smoke. No, I don't want to dance. I realized that as soon as I sort of covered my head, it was laid to rest. There's a certain boundary that you create. There's a certain distance that you create. My son was very resistant to it. In fact, I tried once earlier, and he was so upset that I, decided not to pursue it. But this time, I was more determined, and I sort of sat him down and I explained to him that, it's not about pleasing you. It's not about pleasing X, Y, and Z. I'm doing this for me and for God. And he kind of understood that. My daughter, on the other hand, was very excited. Immediately she was like wanting dupattas to go with all her outfits, and she was very happily covering her head. And I had to, in fact, really kind of tell her that, hold on a minute, get older and then make these decisions. Welcome to another episode of Zikr.
Atiya says she feels the need to use her privileged position and her experience with the media to do a television show called Zikr about Islam and its various facets, to help break down stereotypes about the religion, both in her own country and in an increasingly polarized world.
अब वक्त है इस्लाम पर खुल के बात करने का।
खास कौम जो उनका कलमा पढ़ती है उनको उनकी उम्मत कहते हैं।
आएं इस ईमान को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं। Let's hear the real voice of moderate Muslims.
अगर ना सिर्फ सजदों का नाम होता तो हर एक की कबूल हो जानी चाहिए थी।
Speak up Pakistan. Let's talk about Islam. I've had a lot of people say this, especially after Zikr. But you're wearing makeup and you're wearing jewelry and you're dressing up, and what kind of hijab is this? We've had lots of debates about this. The way I understand it is that hijab is about modesty. It's about covering up properly, not exposing yourself in a sexual way. But that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to look beautiful or attractive or nice.
Although she's faced critics not quite convinced about a young, attractive woman who's been an ex-model discussing Islam, she says she may finally have found her purpose in life.
I get a mixed reaction. People are taking me very seriously. I don't think there's anybody who's not taking it seriously. But I get a very mixed reaction in the sense, I would say, 90% of the people that I've come across have been very supportive, very, very encouraging and very, very positive and supportive. I've also come across another group of people who are completely outraged. I was recently, I was called a fundamentalist, which, I found mind-boggling. Islam has kind of different sects, and different schools of thought. The most diverse kind of ways of approaching Islam are Sufism, let's say, versus Wahhabism. Okay, now Wahhabism is your Saudi-based, Saudi-funded, Saudi version of Islam. And as far as the Sufis are concerned, similarly, they believe that this intolerant, version of Islam where anybody who doesn't agree with their version of Islam can be labeled a kafir. There can be a war waged against them. It's completely unacceptable because, for Sufis, the only jihad or war that you're allowed to have is with your own nafs or with your own ego, and look within yourself and improve yourself and question and blame yourself and let Allah judge others.
In a country as complex and intricately layered as Pakistan, generalizations are difficult. But yes, freedom, independence, choice, privileges so far enjoyed by a handful of the elite upper-class women are trickling down and suffusing the lives of a wider section of women, the middle class and the lower middle class. The stories of these three women and their engagement with issues like modernity and Islam give us a glimpse of the changes and the undercurrents in the Pakistani civil society. Do write in to us and tell us what you thought of our program from Pakistan on feedback@ndtv.com.